informed about the passing of Marhuma Mujgana Safari. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her family sabr and patience, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her soul and grant us, inshallah, the companionship of the Prophet and his family, especially Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الهداة المهديين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with His mercy, grant us forgiveness, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the shafa'ah and intercession of the Prophet and his family in the Day of Judgment with another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I had this conversation with a young man a while ago, and the concern of this young man was, for some reason he thought that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not happy with him, that Allah doesn't like him. And when I asked him why, he said that he really wanted something. He asked Allah for something, but Allah didn't give him. And what was he asking for is not really relevant here. It could be so many things, as it is happening for many of us. We ask Allah for something. Could be wealth, could be power, position, fame, love, so many things. And that brought me to the topic tonight. And that is, what is our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to what are we asking for? Because there's an ayah in the Quran, the one that I recited. This is from Surah Al-Isra, verse 11. Allah said, وَيَدْعُ الْإِنسَانِ بِالشَّرِّ دُعَاءَهُ بِالْخَيْرِ. Many pray, human beings, man prays for ill, for shar, for what is bad and evil. دعاءه بالخير, as avidly as he prays for good. Meaning that sometimes we ask for something that is not good for us. So adamant, so confident, so persistent that I want this. This is what I need. And Allah said, this is who man is, who human being is. They ask for shar from Allah as they are asking for khair. وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ عَجُولًا. And Allah says, and man is a creature of rush, a creature of haste, over hastily. Ajul. And more than ever in the time that we live in, this is a topic. I talked on the importance of patience before. I talked about the importance of taking things slowly. It's not a topic that is first time for me. But I noticed that this is a cause of stress for our young and our youth, as well as it is for adults. And that is that we think we're falling behind. We have many ambitions as human beings. We have to get there. And to a point that is obstructing living properly, to the point that young people in their 20s, they're so anxious, they're so stressed. And we live at the time that everybody is over analyzing their mental health as well. They prescribe things for themselves. Oh, I need to take this. They even self-medicate. Unfortunately, I don't know how informed you are about our youth, and when it comes to many of the recreational drugs out there. When it comes to usage of them, smoking them, one argument is, I need to calm down. I need to chill. And I asked this 18-year-old, what are you chilling about? What responsibilities you feel the burden on your shoulder that you need to calm down? And we see that there's a lot of baggage, a lot of burden that they're feeling and experiencing. And among them is that I'm behind. They compare themselves with other individuals in their 18 or 20 that they're already accomplished, they have their business already established, they are popular, they have the money, they have the family's approval, and they think I have none of that. That's why tonight we're going to talk about this. That what is Iman about? What is faith about? When we look at one term in the Quran, and that is the term innama. There's a one keyword which means an exclusive matter. Innama, it means is only for this. For example, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبْ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ. It is exclusive to the family and the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet that Allah purified them. It's not something that Allah is, okay, everybody to some degree they're pure. No. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ. This is an exclusive blessing for the Ahlul Bayt. They call إِنَّمَا has the meaning of hasr in Arabic, which is exclusivity. In this ayah, in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 2. So I'm going to talk about verse 2, 3, and 4 quickly. We're talking about haste and rush, but I'm going to try to balance it, not rushing it, but not to prolong it either. 2, 3, and 4 of Surah Al-Anfal. Start with this ayah. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Who are the believers? Who are a mu'min? Who are the mu'mins? الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. The faithful, the believers are only those that, number one, when Allah is mentioned, when they remember Allah, وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. Their hearts trembles. I'm not going to make it irfani, very deep, because my time and my topic is supposed to discuss the topic I have in mind. Pretty much it means they're not indifferent toward Allah. It means when they hear the name of Allah, it makes a difference to them. Their heart trembles, meaning that it affects them. One way of thinking of it is that, let's say if somebody, they know what they do is wrong. In your family, God forbid, you are abusive, God forbid. In your business, you are cheating, you're a con man, and you know what you're doing is wrong. And let's say your family members or your partner comes and said, fear Allah, or I leave you with Allah. Okay, you can get away with it. I have no proof, I have no evidence, but remember there is a God. For the one who has Iman, that shakes them to their core. They heard the name of Allah. They heard God. وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. That remembrance of God, it trembles them, it shakes them to their core, it makes a difference. The one who doesn't have the Iman said, okay, leave me to Allah. It makes no difference. So if you live a life that we come to a point that my mom, my dad, my spouse, my neighbor, anyone, the moment they use God, there's a moment for me to think of God, I'm indifferent about it. It does not make it doesn't make any difference to me. That is the problem, that my faith is not there. I think there is. There is a shadow of faith. There is a delusion of faith. مؤمنون إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. Number one. Think about it. When was the last time when the name of Allah was mentioned? When I was tempted, when I was thinking I can get away with it, the remembrance of Allah brought me to my senses. It made me to make the right decision. Then I had the Iman. That Iman was the regulator. That Iman would stop me from going to the wrong path, down the wrong path. That's number one. Number two, وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. When the signs of Allah are recited, when the ayat of Allah are recited, it increased their faith. Meaning that if they listen to ayah of the Quran, when they listen to teaching from the Prophet, from the teaching of the Ahlul Bayt, these are from the signs of Allah. It increased their faith. Again, they're not indifferent toward the word of Allah. They're not indifferent toward the teaching of the Prophet. If they tell me Islam says this business is haram, Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ وَالْأَنْصَابُ وَالْأَزْلَامُ رِجْسٌ مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Dealing with alcohol, with intoxicant is an act of shaitan. This money is a corrupt and unclean money. It's going to cause you problem. It really matters. Yes, okay. Increase my iman. I'm going to stay away from this business because it's going to have consequences for me. That's what iman is about. When we hear the signs of Allah, it makes a difference. When you listen to the Quran, it makes a difference. Quran said, لا يغتب بعضكم بعضا. It's unfortunate. I'm saying to myself, in our salat, in the recitation, we recite, وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. One ayah. This is a very akhlaqi, very ethical verse. But it could be other verses as well that are about financial matters. It could be a verse about injustice and dhulm in the social scales. But one akhlaqi, ethical, personal ayah in the Quran is this ayah. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. Woe upon those who engage in slander, mockery, and humiliation. Woe upon them. Meaning, God is cursing them. Said, you don't deserve my mercy. If you're someone, humazatil lumaza, all you do is a slander. All you do is you make fun of people for their look, for their accent, for their, family, whatever deficiency you assume they have, you make fun of them. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. A mu'min read this ayah, it increased their iman. It means I'm not going to engage in that. Not as often, at least. I start reducing it. Once in a while, maybe it happens, but I understand this is an ayah, this is a sign, this is a message from God. وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. The third sign of a mu'min, Quran said, they trust their Lord. They place their trust in Allah. Allama Tabatabai said, this is the beauty of these ayat, is that they are sequential. Means that if you're someone that the remembrance of God's trembles you, shakes you to your core, that will lead you that when you hear the signs of God, it increases your faith because you have the proper understanding of the authority and the power of God. You take it seriously. And then once you have these two set, if you have the proper reaction to the name of Allah, if you have the proper reaction to the signs and the revelation and the message of God, then these two lead you to tawakkul, trust, reliance on Allah. So the one that when I hear His name, everything else is not a priority. It's been said that when you say Allahu Akbar, is recommended to extend your hand to your ears, right? Is mustahab. Allahu Akbar. So one of the symbolism of this action is when we extend our hand as we are saying Allahu Akbar, which means God is greater. Allahu Akbar min an yusaf. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam said, God is greater than any description. It's not a real accurate translation to say Allah is greater than everything. Means you compare God with everything. Everything was created by Him, so it's not a fair comparison. So Allah is greater than what? Allah is greater to be describe. So any way we try to describe God is not a perfect description. We cannot do justice to His greatness, to His glory. But the moment we raise our hand, we're saying Allahu Akbar. It means everything else is less important than Allah. Allah is greater. My greatest concern right now is Allah. Everything else, let's throw them back. Let's throw them away for the time being. And that's the beauty of even the actions in the salat, if you pay attention. Action that we have, details in the rituals and prayers that we do. So once we have these two set, then reliance happens. Said, okay, if Allah is greater than everything and all my issues and all the troubles that I have, I trust Him. He promised that He will take care of what I need. He will fulfill my needs. الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. So these three were internal, intrinsic. A mu'min, these are the three steps that it takes internal, within us. Tremble with the remembrance of Allah, increase of faith, reliance on Allah. The next two, there are 5 of them. The next two, the fourth and fifth, are practice, action. Who are the believers? Who are the faithful? الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. Those who maintain their prayers. Those who establish their prayers. They don't just say, okay, I believe in God, I trust in God, there's nothing. They actually stand in prayers, submit, and they show humility before God. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And the fifth sign is that they spend and give out of what Allah provided for them. Allah doesn't say they give away from their money, from their hard-earned salary. He said, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ. From what Allah provided for them, they give. So these are the 5, according to these ayat. Then what Allah said in verse 4, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. You want to know who are the true faithful, the real deal? These are the one. It is they who are truly the faithful. حَقًّا means there's those that they are fake mu'mins. They claim to be a mu'min. Maybe they have the facade, the look of it, but if they don't have these 5 elements, they're not the real deal. That's how you determine the genuine mu'min from a fake one. That's for you and between you. This is how you test your iman. لَهُمْ دَرَجَاتٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ. In exchange of this faith and this practice and this worship, Allah said they shall have ranks near their Lord. Darajatun. Meaning that believers, they do not have the same rank. Depending of how much efforts we put into it, there will be different ranks before Allah. So somebody said, I recite Quran. I do Khatm al-Quran. How you do it? In month of Ramadan, I recite 1 ayah and it's a Khatm al-Quran. Yes, it's a generosity of Allah and is right and is true. But you cannot say your status and your rank will be the same as someone who recites Quran across the year, all the time. On daily basis, they spend some time to recite Quran. If I have thousands and thousands of dollars and I give $1 in charity, good. I'm not discouraging from giving that $1. But you cannot assume, you cannot expect to have the same rank, considering their intention is the same for the sake of Allah. That you have the same rank as someone who spent thousands of what they earned for the sake of Allah. There will be different rank. Lahum darajatun. So even believers do not have the same level, same rank. وَمَغْفِرَةٌ. And also they earn Allah's forgiveness. Meaning even a mu'min may make a mistake. But they're brave enough to own their mistake and apologize to Allah or to people, depending who they wronged. Maghfirah. A mu'min receives Allah's mercy because they accept the responsibility for their sins or mistakes. وَرِزْقٌ كَرِيمٌ. And Allah will provide for them a noble provision. In the tafsir we have that this rizq kareem, this noble, honorable rizq and sustenance is ultimately Jannah, is the paradise that Allah promised. Because anything else is not as noble as that ultimate eternal gift of Allah. So I said this ayah to begin with this, that when we talk about the young people and what burden they feel in, is because as human being, our fitra, our innate nature was created in a way to orbit around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's our fitrah. Meaning, if we keep our fitrah clean, away from corruption, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, then this fitrah, sooner or later, it will be attracted toward Allah. It's like a magnet. Take us to the core. And once that happens, we find everything start making sense. We don't be bothered. وَلَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. The commander of the faithful, Allah said, once that faith establishes, you will not be concerned about people's blames. If people make fun of you for your hijab, if people make fun of you because you do your prayers and salat, it doesn't bother. لَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. Your faith has that strength. But the issue is, in our time, God as a center is being replaced by other things. We are in love with Allah from the moment we're born. From the moment we're born, we're looking for Him. We're in search of Him. We're wondering about Him. But the moment we ignore it, people replace God with other things. They're obsessed about other things. What is that? Celebrities. I've seen people who are obsessed about celebrities. They eat, they sleep celebrities. Everything they do, because again, this is something about our nature. We need that focal point to give our attention to. There are people who are crazy. They're ready to put their lives at risk. Why? Because that God, which was the center, now is being replaced is mistakenly for something else. That's why he said, oh, he or she is my God or goddess. I've heard this comment from people who are obsessed. Or it could be wealth. It could be being rich. It becomes that God to them. Or it could be fame. I want to be famous. And once these are becoming the focal point, the result of that, none of these brings tranquility and peace. None of them take away the burden. If I'm obsessed with celebrities, if I'm obsessed with wealth, if I'm obsessed with fame or anything else that I replace God with, they will lead to more anxiety. They will lead to more restlessness. The only thing that gives us peace, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. The remembrance of Allah is the only true source of tranquility. Once you know who is in charge, what's the center of life, what's the center of our attention, who is the one that I should give all this love to, then no hardship matters. So that's why when I talked to that young man, said, I ask Allah for this and I ask Allah for that. I ask him, so which one is more important to you? If Allah is happy with you, if the one who created you is proud of you, or to get to what you want. And please don't be dishonest with me. Say what truly deep down you think. I said, honestly, I want to get to what I want. That's more important. I said, that's why the one that you're asking for is not in charge in your life. The way you look at him, he is serving you. You're not serving him. Because Abdullah means I'm serving him. He is God. I'm the creation. I'm the servant. So he is the one that I should care about. He is Ni'mal Mawla. He is the Mawla. He is the one who's the master. But the way you look at him is that, give me, I'm placing my order. I expect a good customer service. Deliver it. Give it to me as soon as possible. And if you don't, I'm going to go on Google or Yelp and I leave a bad review for you. Because you didn't give me what I wanted. Your understanding of who Allah is problematic, is broken. And that's why I finished with this hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam alayhi salam says, this is from Nahjul Balagha, these are a collection of his short sayings or quotes at the end of Nahj al-Balagha, hikmah known as the words of wisdom. This is hikmah number 363 and is 2 sentences. But just think about the depth, relevance and the wisdom. Imam says, وقال علي عليه السلام من الخرق المعاجلة قبل الإمكان. Khurq in Arabic, it refers to ignorance and foolishness. A fool is someone who ultimately doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the wisdom, is not smart, is not wise. So Imam said, min al-khurq. This is 2 signs of ignorance. There's 2 signs. There's so many signs, but Imam is kind of giving us a different angle. Some people ask me why ahadith are different. One hadith said this is how we know who an ignorant is. This hadith says something else. Look at it this way. There are different ways of diagnosis, depending from what angle you look at a problem. Even with our body, sometimes say, okay, do an x-ray. Sometimes said, go blood test. All of them ultimately is about diagnosing the problem. Spiritual illnesses have their own way of looking at it. And I said, these are the 2 signs that you're suffering from foolishness. What is it? Number 1, al-mu'ajala qabla al-imkan. To act hastily, to act with rush, before the proper time, is a sign of foolishness. Mu'ajala comes from the word ajala. Ajala means to be in rush. Soon as possible, to get to what I want, shortcuts, least amount of effort. And Imam said, mu'ajala qabla al-imkan. Imkan, mumkin means possible. Sometimes to rush something that is not the right time for it, is not even possible. An example is that when somebody harvest unripe fruits from a tree. The fruit is a fruit, the tree is fine, everything is fine, but because you rushed, you harvested, you picked that fruit too early, now that fruit is not going to be delicious, it's not going to be as good, most likely it's going to be wasted. In life, there are moments that we do things with that nature of rush. I want it as soon as possible. Example is somebody who expects a successful business without proper learning, without making mistakes. Just looking at other people, comparing that, oh, look at them, they made it, they're successful. Why? What's wrong with me? I'm not smart enough. This rush is before the right time. The right time is that you have to have the proper experience. In marriage, it happens. I want this girl, this is the woman of my dream. Rushing. Or this guy is the only one. Before the right time. I've seen it, that there were sometimes suitable matches, but because somebody didn't do it right, they did not have the proper patience. They give ultimatum to people. They go to proposal and said, okay, you have to give me an answer by the end of the day. I don't have time to waste. And so many other examples can be given. How many blessings of God could be wasted if people don't understand the proper time? But how can we know the proper time? The only way is 2 things. Number 1 is observation and sabr. I observe, I learn. As time passes, you learn, okay, this is not the right time. When I see people are angry, I should not engage with them. I learned that by experience. Time and experience teaches us a lot of things. Tajruba, which is experience, it teaches you a lot. A lot of young people, they try to convince everyone. One thing that elders will tell you is, no matter how articulate you are, how well spoken you are, sometimes you cannot convince people. But young people, we don't want to accept it. No, you didn't get what I'm saying. Let me tell you another way. Let me tell you another way. Experience teaches you this is not the right time. What is the second sign of foolishness? Imam Ali alayhi salam said, وَالْأَنَاتْ بَعْدَ الْفُرْصَةِ, to procrastinate or to delay after the suitable time also is a sign of foolishness. It seems very obvious, but just thinking about our lives, how much of that is actually the root cause of many problems. People who are too fast and too in rush, and people who are too slow. Both is a problem. I know people that, mashallah, they are in their 40s and it's still the right person. I didn't find the right person. 40 years old, Habibi, sooner or later, we should have a meeting with Malakul Maut, me and you. But no, at the right time. But there are exceptions, of course. Sometimes it's not up to you. You try it, but there is no option out there. But sometimes people even don't initiate, don't even try, don't even look for it. This is losing fursa, losing opportunities, losing time. But how to find that balance? That's the result of two things, as I said. Sabr, patience, and observation. That's why Quran said, ibrah. Learn from others. Learn from the mistakes of others. One thing I've heard, many people say, our children have to make their own mistakes. I've seen, mashallah, we live in a different time. A lot of children, they tell their parents, Dad, Mom, you made your own mistake when you were young. Now you try to lecture me not to make the same mistakes. Again, let me make my mistakes. I'll get to the same point you are. And the poor parent said, the reason I'm advising you is to do not waste time the way I did. Any other relationship, nobody, again, that's the fact. In any other relationship, nobody likes somebody else to be better than them. If you're in business, right? Do you like your partner to be better than you? Honestly. Are you? Do you want them to be better than you? Your classmate, do you want him to be better than you? Nature of human being is that we like to be the best. That's why when in job opportunities people are being told, we will give you this much raise, let's say 100,000, or we're going to give you 10% more than anyone else in the entire company. And the second one is a lower offer. The only thing is that we make sure you're paid more comparing with others. Majority choose the second one. They don't choose the more money. They choose, I'm being paid the highest. Something about the nature of man. These are studies that are done. But there's one exception that people, not only they don't mind, they wanted others to be better than them, and they are parents. Parents, they're the only one who have no envy. They want their children, usually, there are of course exception to every rule, but parents usually they want their children to be better than them. So I want you to live better. I want you to achieve more success than me. It doesn't bother me. I don't want you to hold you down. Mostly, again, there are exceptions, as I said. But the nature of the man is not recognizing that. May Allah, inshallah, by the honor of the Quran, grant us that iman that Surah Al-Anfal is talking about. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. The real deal, the real genuine faith and belief that we are looking for. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that wisdom to recognize the right time, when to act and when to wait. That's why reflection is important. The most important thing not to forget is that your case is unique to you. We have that Prophet said to Abu Dhar, that Abu Dhar, you're a great servant of Allah, but you are not suitable for leadership. You should not lead people of this many numbers. It's a hadith actually. It's been said about him. He's a great man. He's a great, honorable, a man of truth, and one who's ready to be firm and not to back down when he has to. But not everybody is the same. Some people have some qualities. Some have qualities for leadership. Some have qualities for management. Some have qualities for consultation. But how we know is reflection. Man arafa nafsa. We should know who we are. And one way to know when is the right time to act and when to wait is to stop comparing myself with others. Oh, that person got married at the age of 30 and they're happy. It doesn't make it a guarantee for you to get married at the age of 30 and to be happy. That person had only one job and they were able to take care of everything they need. Maybe that's not for you. You live in California, that person lives in maybe in a different area. The amount of time maybe is different. Figuring out what is a situation that you live in. What are the circumstances that you live in? And when is the time for you to act? That is aql, that is intellect. When is the time to be patient and to have sabr and to wait for the right time? Again, is a key element of wisdom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once again, our dua is to help us to get to that wisdom, that jahl and ignorance is the root cause of every evil. Every problem we have, it comes from jahl. May Allah grant us an ilm, a knowledge that is enlighten our path, a knowledge that take us from darkness to the light, from doubt and uncertainty to clarity and certainty and conviction. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the honor of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salam, as we are approaching month of Muharram, help us to use this month of Muharram as an opportunity for connecting with our faith, learning from the master of the martyrs, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, in order to understand what it means to truly be Abdullah, as we say, Aba Abdullah, how to be truly the servant of God. Once we look up to one of the greatest manifestation of servitude of Allah, which is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. For the honor of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, for the honor of the Prophet and his family, especially Ali ibn Abi Talib, which we had this hadith from him, recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I think we do not have Q&A as Dr. Ishraqi is busy. So if you have questions, inshallah, maybe at another time, please keep me in your du'as and prayers during the coming Muharram, inshallah. We will conclude with a short ziyarah and inshallah the rest of the program. Jazakumullah khair. Let's everybody stand up. We finish with the salam. وَعَجِّلَ اللَّهُمَّ فِي